for coming out Wednesday night, Buffalo Wild Wings, Glen Mills, PA. Give yourself a big round of applause. Come on.
Yeah, let's go.
How about a bigger round of applause for Tom Bergoni?
Hey.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you.
How you doing, Carl?
Not as good as you.
First of all, how great is it here? You guys, I heard there was no time limit on this, so we're going to have the first 8-hour podcast. I'm here for you. We got the Phillies game on.
Yeah. They
I
delayed it for us a little bit.
have a beer in front of me. And also, I'm in front of the greatest fans in the world. So life does not get any better than this.
It does not.
That is true.
It does not. Give yourself a round of applause. Come on. Come on. Thanks, everybody, for coming out with this fan's view. That's John, Tom, Carl, Lauren's back there, Sue's back there. We got Kelly, we got Adam, we got Sean. You guys need anything. You got Jess behind the bar. You got Cameron waiting all the tables. Kitchen's trying to keep up. So here we are, Buffalo Wild Wings. The GM is Joe, Cameron, and again, we have us every month. You might want to stick around to the very end because we got a major announcement for next month. If you think this guy can pull it off, we got a big announcement coming. So stick around, stick with us, enjoy the wings, the beers, whatever you're having, them big old fat burgers. We're gonna have ourselves a good time. So again, raffle prizes, grab 2 free tickets. They're $1 a piece. There's a lot of good stuff. I don't know that you even tried on the Jimmy Rollins jersey.
I don't think it did either. I was careful bringing it in.
So Jimmy Rollins autograph jersey, come on, some spectacular stuff. So again, the friend of the fanatic, Tom Bergoni. I mean, does it get much better than this? I mean, give us your best Bryce Harper story.
Bryce Harper. Are there any Bryce Harper fans here?
I think Warren's the biggest.
Well, it turns out Bryce Harper is a huge Philly fanatic fan. I think everybody knows that, right? I mean, how cool is that when like one of the best players in baseball is a fan of the team mascot? And he was a fan of the Philly Fanatic even before he got to Philadelphia. And it was pretty cool because the Washington Nationals would come to town and Bryce would literally sit on like the front step and just watch the Fanatic. And I remember the Fanatic running into him at an all-star game, and Fanatic was out on the field, and Bryce was, watching the Fanatic, and then he's telling all these other all-stars, you guys know that the Fanatic's the best, right? So he's always had this love. And so the press conference, I don't know if you guys remember the press conference when we introduced Bryce Harper as a Philly in Clearwater on the dugout at our ballpark down there in Florida in Clearwater. And it was an off day, so there's nobody in the locker rooms, and they were holding everybody in the visitors' locker room. Bryce and his family, his agent, Scott Lawrence, of course, we know him, and then a couple other people. And so the Philly Fanatic was going to be part of, the press conference. And so the Fanatic comes into the visiting locker room where they're just holding them before the press conference starts. And he sees Bryce, but then he pushes Bryce over to the side to give a big smooch to his girlfriend at the time.
Okay.
Well, Bryce, the Fanatic really pushed Bryce Harper. He tripped over a stool and almost fell down. And I just thought, oh my gosh, if Bryce Harper breaks his ankle,
right?
Before this press conference, probably not a good thing. The press conference went off well, and then everybody knows the story. That first game, in Philadelphia, Bryce comes out with spikes
Yeah.
that are decorated in Philly Fanatic, and from that point on, he came out with a headband. He came out, he walked the game one day, and he had a suit coat, and he had it lined with Fanatic pictures. Bryce has been just a huge part and a big pal of the Philly Fanatic. It's really been very cool. Very cool.
That's interesting that you said that, that he was that way in Washington as well, because a lot of people think that he panders to the Philadelphia, fans because of the Fanatic.
And John, I forgot to tell you the story. So while we were in the locker room, after that happened, his dad says to Bryce, he says, "Hey Bryce, show the Fanatic your bat. Show him your bat." And Bryce goes, "Okay, Fanatic, come on over here." And he goes through some pictures on his iPhone, and he shows that he has this painted bat of the Philly Fanatic when he was still in Washington. Yeah. So, and then of course,
That's awesome.
everything's been all about the Fanatic and Bryce.
Well, that's good. So it wasn't pandering.
No, he's always loved the Fanatic.
Yeah.
The one that sticks out to me, maybe 2 years ago, it was your birthday, sent you a box, down to your,
Dressing room.
what do we call it?
Dressing room.
room.
Yeah.
With these new shoes.
Yeah.
That was fabulous.
Pretty awesome. New Fanatic gets new shoes for his birthday, and of course, we did that on the field too. And so the next night, Carl, if you remember, the Fanatic had his own shoes, but he made sure he had a big picture of Bryce on the shoe. And I got to tell you, so the latest one, nobody knows about this. This is breaking news. This is breaking news. But we
Hold on,
haven't.
I gotta get the clip. There we go. You're good.
There it is. There's the graphic. Bryce just last month gave the Fanatic a the sliding mitt that he has that has the Fanatic on it. He gave the Fanatic a sliding mitt it's like a Muppet basically, but it's a Muppet of Bryce Harper. It's the beard. Yeah, it's got the beard. It was before he cut his hair actually, so it was before that. But it's and it's like, all right, Fanatic, this is for you. Now we're looking the Fanatic has not debuted this thing yet. The Fanatic doesn't know what to do with it. He thinks it's an oven mitt. So he's pulling stuff out of the oven with his Bryce Harper mitt. But we're hoping we're gonna unveil that sometime very soon.
You have to now because you
I know.
We just went public with it. You just went public with 1 million people watching. Million.
Million. 1 million.
All right. Sonny, thank you for the millions and millions.
Yeah.
All right. I would be a bad promoter if I didn't acknowledge City Distilling. So it's on the shelf here at Buffalo Wild Wings. So order it up. Tell them you got to use the City Distilling vodka, and trust me, it's pretty damn good. We've been with them for a number of years. Rob, we can come over to your restaurant too. All you got to do is give us the word. We will be happy to come to downtown.
Look at the crowd. Come on now.
The manager of downtown. Say hello to Rob.
Hey, Rob.
All right, Rob. He used to be the big guy here. Anyway, City Distilling, they've been with us a long time. Again, need to acknowledge them as well. You get to take that home there, Mr. That's going with you.
Well, I will drink that. Of course, the Philly Fanatic is a big milk drinker, Carl, as you know that. And that's, as the friend of the Fanatic, people don't know. I mean, I'm his chauffeur, I'm his chef, I'm his agent, I'm his spiritual advisor. But I also tuck him in at night. And before I tuck him in at night, I always warm up a little milk, he likes that warm milk before he goes to bed. But the vodka's for me.
Well, there you go. He'll have to take one for the team.
There you
He'll
go.
have to drink that and he gets the milk.
There you go. Good stuff. We do some trivia.
Got trivia?
We do some trivia. I talked about that at the beginning. We've got prizes. Do you want to do a little trivia?
We can do a couple.
You want to do a couple trivia, get the room warmed up a little bit?
We will. We'll do that.
Lauren, are you available? Lauren's available. She's got her mic. She's got her prizes. So she's surveying the room.
We have the official scorecard of the Fanatic. How tall is the Fanatic?
That's a great question.
Officially, how tall is it?
Officially.
It's in the media guide.
Yeah.
She thought the arm went half up. I'm not sure. Are you
Seven.
gonna raise your arm?
7 foot's not right.
What was it, 7 foot?
7 foot is incorrect.
Okay. 7'1",
That's the other way. This beats it.
6'6".
6'6".
Right here.
Where was that? 6'6".
6'6".
All right, okay.
Yeah.
You don't qualify though.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. You sure? You got.
I can do amazing. We have a winner.
All right.
That's a good one.
That's my
That's
only.
very,
That's my only talent. All right. That's an amazing chocolate person.
that's pretty good. Very good.
Can you do a zinc off and how much does the Fanatic weigh in at? That's the next trivia question. How much is he weighing in? You're not giving you don't give the weight. How much does the Fanatic weigh? He's 6'6".
I dispute this, by the way. This might not be accurate, but it is in
It's in the book.
media guide.
All the way in the kitchen.
300 plus pounds.
300 pounds, that's close enough. 300 pounds is correct. I think.
Just let everybody go.
I don't know if that's completely
We
true.
lost control, but it's okay.
It's in the media guide.
It's okay.
If Tom says it's good, it's good.
If Tom says is it good?
It's good.
Is it good?
It's good.
It's good.
We got a winner, so we got
All right, how about another one?
All right, here we go. Of all the mascots in the world, we're talking all mascots, all different companies, it's not matter of sports. This
In
is
the world.
in the world. It was just interesting. I saw this when I was doing the research.
Research.
Which one is the oldest? You got A, the Morton Salt Girl, B, Mr. Peanut, and C, the Michelin Man. So I gave you easy
I heard the answer already. Back there, he keeps saying
Mr.
it.
Peanut?
Mr. Peanut is incorrect.
There was somebody in the back who said something.
Someone in the back.
Someone in the back said something. That lady is waving.
Morton Salt is her answer.
Whoa, Morton Salt is incorrect.
Michelin
So
Man.
this
This one is correct.
So,
Wow, that was a tough one. Way to go out on a limb there, but yes.
I see what you guys are doing.
All right, so John, I think you probably got that off online.
It wasn't online.
And when is the year the Michelin Man made his first appearance?
1898.
1898. And I do question that
I
because
know, we were talking about this pre-show.
are have cars even been invented in 1898?
I don't think so, but,
So they didn't even have tires.
what does, I don't know.
This could have been, this could have been a
1898?
online joke.
So you're throwing the challenge.
He's drunk.
I'm throwing a challenge down, Carl.
All right, well, you have to do the research and get back to me.
All right. Size of the crowd. Questions, comments, anything for the friend of the fanatic?
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. George, go ahead. You want a mic or you just want to?
I'm coming. I was looking up what year the car was invented so I could get back to you guys.
Well, it doesn't mean it could be something else with the Michelin Man. It just,
Your best friend, Philip Fernandez. He jumps over the seats. He does everything on the field. Has he ever been injured?
Great question. Has the Fanatic ever been injured? The Fanatic miraculously has never been injured, but I have. How does that happen? How does it happen? I'll tell you, there were one or two that stand out. There was one at the ballpark, Citizens Bank Park, where the Fanatic is doing his normal thing and playing around in front of the visitors' dugout because, the Fanatic's always trying to get like the home field advantage, try to knock those players off their game a little bit. He lets the Phillies, warm up and get ready for the game. But one night, the Atlanta Braves were in town, and somebody threw a ball, and it hit the Fanatic. But, of course, somehow it hit the Fanatic. How do I say this? But it broke my nose.
it bounced off.
Yeah, it bounced off my nose somehow. But anyway, that's what happened. And Greg Norton was the guy who did it. And it wasn't done on purpose. It was just messing around and Fanatic. And it's great, it's great entertainment for the fans when, the Fanatics is getting under their skin a little bit. And but I remember standing behind the home plate, and my nose, I'm bleeding, and
My eyes watering.
I'm in the game. I'm out there, and then I get back, and I do remember. I don't want to say it in public, but when I took off, and so people looked and saw, and they all went, they're like, oh, that's a mess. So they got me to Will's Eye Hospital because the nose, it's kind of the orbit, the eye, and I remember sitting there, and people were giving me updates for the game, and I get the update that the Phillies won. Greg Norton came up to pinch hit in the 9th inning. Brad Lynch struck him out with the bases loaded and to end the game. So the next day, because Carl, as you know, the Fanatic's a gamer, didn't miss any games. I had one of those shields that you see Joel and B, wearing all the time. But I went right into the Phillies clubhouse and I said, Brad, great game last night. And I told him the story. I was in a hospital room. And I said, thanks for striking out Greg Norton, the guy who broke the Fanatic's nose. And I said, and also make sure when you're in Atlanta, make sure you throw in Blooper, their mascot, just to break his nose, just to get a little revenge. And the one other time also is Lehigh Valley. Fanatics up there doing his thing. He's out in the crowd, about 4 rows behind the dugout, and a ball comes off, a foul ball, off the dugout, hits the Fanatic in the neck, which just happens to be my nose. And of course, not my nose, but a little above here, right above my eye. Fanatic goes down. Everybody's laughing because they think this was planned. Yeah, this part of the script. And so, of course, I'm like, I go through the row, and I'm like, there's a woman who's in charge of the Fanatic who's on a walkie-talkie, but I hug her and I said, you gotta get me out of here. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. You gotta get me out of here. So she gets on her walkie-talkie. She calls EMT, for some help. And meanwhile, we go up the steps. I'm on the concourse. Everybody wants the Fanatic's picture, and high fives. And I'm meanwhile, my eye is like Fred Flintstone is pointing out like this. I see the 2 EMT guys come running my way, and the one EMT, I'm like, oh, finally, I'm gonna get some help. The one EMT guy goes up next to the Fanatic, puts his arm around for a picture, and they take my picture and then they leave. So, yeah. But yeah, there have been a few injuries.
All right, so we're talking Fanatic. We're talking how busy the Fanatic is. What does his day look like? How does it start? How do you get him to the ballpark? Let's spill the beans here. how does the Fanatic maneuver all this?
Well, it's pretty cool because the Fanatic is, very sought after. Everybody wants a piece of the Fanatic, so that means, I got to be where the Fanatic is at all times. And just today, the Fanatic was in Newtown, Edgemont, because they have the Phillies Baseball Academy. Great camp. If you have kids, I recommend it highly. It's the best baseball camp there is in the area. I mean, kids, it's 2 weeks of, they meet some Phillies people. They come out. Milt Thompson was out the other day with these kids. The Fanatic showed up today, this morning. And then they go to the ballpark and they get a tour of the ballpark. So it really is a great baseball camp for kids. But anyway, the Fanatic was there. And then the Fanatic, I had them go to Center City. There's a camera crew from MLB that wanted to shoot the Philly Fanatic going into the convention center here in Philly because next year we are hosting the All-Star Game. And it's going to be a great year. And of course, Fan Fest, or now they're calling it All-Star Village, will be at the convention center. And we were filming kind of a commercial for that today. And then they came down to the ballpark and filmed some more. So it's cool. Carl, the answer is you never know. You just never know from day to day where the Fanatic's going to need to be. And it's pretty cool.
All right.
We do have a question in the audience here. That
Yes.
we want to pass up.
Just our look.
How does the Fanatic stay cool on hot days?
He doesn't. do you know where the Philly Fanatic is from? Because he wasn't born in Philadelphia. He was born in the Galapagos Islands, which is way down South America. There's a country called Ecuador on the western part of South America. And then about 300 miles from there, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, is the Galapagos Islands. And that's where he was born. And the fact is, it gets very hot and very dry and humid down in the Galapagos Islands. So the Fanatic is very used to hot weather. Yeah, he's just very used to it.
You all good?
Great question.
Great question.
Awesome
question.
Great question.
Go get yourself another 2 free raffle tickets. You're stealing the show tonight there, Schwarba.
Yeah.
I think another person had their hand up.
Why does his big brother have to tail along with him?
Yeah.
Is he stealing his tickets?
He'll put all 4 in without keeping 2.
Poor little man.
Yeah. All right, we got another question.
Tell us about the Fanatic and Tommy Lasorda, please.
A great question. Tommy Lasorda from Norristown, Pennsylvania. He's a Philly guy, but he's not a Philly guy at heart. I'd like to say he's a Philly guy at heart. Once he moved to LA, he turned into an LA guy. And that's a problem because the Fanatic is all Philly, all the time. And Tommy, kind of is kowtowing to all the celebrities out there. But it is funny, the Fanatic would always have fun with Lasorda. Steve Sachs was a second baseman for the Dodgers, and he's the guy who would supply the Fanatic with Tommy Lasorda's extra jersey that they would pack. And so the Fanatic would put that on the dummy. He had a little dummy that he would toss around in between innings. And so he would dress it up. And Tommy's argument is you never denigrate the Army uniform because he was in the Army and the Los Angeles Dodgers uniform. The Dodgers were. But the Fanatic, he could care less.
Yeah, those rules don't apply in Philly.
So it was pretty funny. I know that video is online. I think it was 1988. Lasorda came out and had enough. And whacked the Fanatic over the head with the dummy and tried to steal the 4-wheeler. And then from that point on, it was just game on. I mean, he was a spokesperson for Nutri-Systems, the diet, the supplement, and the Fanatic would come out there and not only smash the Los Angeles Dodgers helmet, but he would smash cans of Nutrisystem. No, Slim Fast. I'm sorry, Slim Fast. I said Nutrisystem. Nutrisystem. That was Cats. Yeah, the owner of the Sixers. But
Has, not to interrupt you,
Yeah.
has anyone replaced Tommy Lasorda?
anybody replaced in terms of a villain? That's a great question, Carl. I think the whole state of New York is the villain. The Mets and everybody in New York. Now, in terms of the player, listen, the Fanatic has had a lot of fun with players. You know, it's interesting. Everybody, what really I think, and Dave Raven, I know he's been on your show, Carl. You know, what was really unique when the Fanatic came out in 1978, made his debut, was he engaged the players and the youngs. And that was something that just was not happening. You know, that was a real new thing. And so that engagement, you know, people were like, oh my gosh, look what he's doing out there. So the beauty is the Fanatic still does that. But now everybody's kind of in on the act and they want to play along, you know. So I've had a lot of players who have played along with the Fanatic, you know. One, Mike, I'm talking about the Mets, but Mike Piazza, and of course, his nephew, right? Piazza was always great. He would come out of the dugout. The Fanatic would have his four-wheeler parked out there. Piazza would come out, and he would just do this. He would like arm wrestle the Fanatic, and the Fanatic would come over, and then we'd go back and forth, and you know, Piazza would always flip the Fanatic over. But so that kind of engagement has always been part of the Fanatic act, and a big reason why he's been so popular.
Yeah.
We're here with Tom McGill. We're talking Philly Fanatic. We're here at Buffalo Wild Wings. And let's look around. Let's look around all the memorabilia, all the jerseys. We need to get a petition going to get a Fanatic jersey in Buffalo Wild Wings.
He is the Hall of Famer.
I mean, seriously? I mean, why not?
Well, John said Hall of Famer. Now, I will say, the Fanatic is a first-year inductee to the Mascot Hall of Fame, which is cool. But I will say, when people ask me what some of my best memories are since I've been doing this, and it's been 37 years now I've been doing this, so I'm old.
Yeah, but you started when you were 8 years old.
Thanks, Carl. No, I think I look every bit of 37 plus whenever I start. But I will say, certainly you go to the parade, 2008, the greatest, just millions of people, and the Fanatic leading it. It was 3.5 hours leading that charge down Broad Street and then into the ballpark, just the greatest. I think my second favorite memory was 2002. Harry Callis got inducted to the Hall of Fame as the fourth Fricka winner. And it just so happened the Hall of Fame had been asking the last year or two prior to that for the Phillies to donate the costume to the Hall of Fame. And we weren't sure, I don't know if we want to do this or not. So we didn't really do it. But then in 2002, Harry goes in and he said, listen, we'd love to display the costume. And so we agreed, and they did it all on that induction weekend. And so it was just the greatest time. I had my whole family there. We got a little cabin on the lake, which was great unto itself. But Harry being inducted at the same time the Fanatic was being honored. And I'll never forget, there was an event where they were making the announcement. It was one of the events of the weekend. And the Fanatic is being up there being honored. And Harry, who had so many other things to do that weekend, he really was being torn, back and forth to events. Came in, sat down in the first row, and was there for the Fanatic for his little ceremony. And I get goosebumps every time I think about it, for Harry to take the time and be so kind. and then of course the next day he went in, and we had our whole family there. We had a big party for Harry, and a big tent party. Of course, the Phillies, as everybody knows, it's such a great organization, and they went all out, with a big tent party by the lake for Harry. A little known fact actually, whenever the Phillies win and everybody sings High Hopes, that video they show, that's the tent party from the party in Cooperstown.
Wow.
When Harry went into the Hall of Fame. So that was just such a special weekend.
Wow.
Very cool.
All right, we've hit the halfway mark of the show, as usual. It flies by. Questions, comments? Gentleman over here has a question. Anybody else? We'll line them up. I don't want to miss anybody. Feel free.
How would you get the job to be the best?
It's a great question. How'd I get the job? I was the biggest idiot in the room. Dave Raymond, of course, started this whole thing, and they were looking for. He's always had a backup guy, and as it turns out, the Orlando Magic came into being, and Pat Williams, the old general manager of the Sixers, loved Dave, and he's like, "Hey, we want you to be the next Stuff the Dragon." And Dave's like, "No, I'm not leaving Philadelphia to be Stuff the Dragon, but you can have my backup guy, who the Fanatics always had a helper, to do a lot of the outside appearances." So the guy was Mike Stevens, went to Orlando, and so that left the job opening in 1989. And I graduated from Drexel. I was in sales. I wasn't selling anything, so I was like looking for some extra money. And the Phillies put an ad in the newspaper. It said mascots wanted. It didn't say Phillies, didn't say Fanatic. It just said mascots wanted. Send a resume and a letter to a PO box. I sent it, not thinking twice. 2 weeks later, the Phillies called and asked me to come down and interview and audition for the job. And so I got very, very lucky, just right place, right time. And that's how I started. And I was Dave's backup, handled a lot of the appearances for 5 years until Dave left after the '93 season. After we lost to Joe Carter and the Toronto Blue Jays. And then I took over all the games.
All right, we got another question from the audience.
Are there any players surprising that the Fanatic has to stay away from?
Has to stay away from. That's a funny way to put it. By the way, nice hat. Yeah, isn't that the greatest? So, what's your name? Cooper's wearing the Philly Fanatic batting practice hat that the players started wearing last year. So before I answer your question, I got to tell you, and Carl and I were talking about this just before we went on, how crazy it's gotten with Fanatic merchandise.
Oh, yeah.
It started with Harper. Harper really was the guy who made it cool.
Got shoes over there.
Yeah,
Your left.
exactly.
Right there.
Yeah, look at those, the shoes. It's so cool. I know the Fanatic loves seeing everybody in Fanatic merchandise. And then when the players started wearing that cap last year and again this year during batting practice, he just loves it. It's funny to see Topper doing a press conference and he's got the Fanatic on his head, which is pretty cool. But in terms of players that are
Try to stay away from.
Yeah, stay away from. And it's not quite that. What it is the Fanatic has this sense of who he should mess around with and who he shouldn't mess around with. And so it's really picking up on the vibe, and that happens in the crowd. When the Fanatic's out in the crowd, there could be somebody who's, keeping score of the game, like a traditionalist, and they're just watching the game. And so the Fanatic just passes them by. But that happens on the field too. And the one guy that always comes to mind when I talk about this is Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn he was like our chase up, just locked in, just completely locked in and preparing for the game. And I mentioned Tony Gwynn because usually it's West Coast teams were always very loosey-goosey and just wanted to have fun. Padres would come into town and we'd have a great time. The Fanatic would with all these players, but Gwynn would never mess around with the Fanatic. He would just, just walk, just like he would just not even, it was weird, just so zoned in like you wouldn't even see him, Wow. So that's kind of how, I've never been told, oh, don't go close to this player, but I do know there are certain players, when you get that vibe, you stay away from them.
All right, that was a great question. This is a horrible follow-up to that. How much popcorn do you go through? I mean, who's paying for the popcorn?
Well,
We know Crupper's not.
I know, right? And you were asking me about this earlier. By the way, John Kruk loves the Fanatic.
Oh, of course.
And he gets a total kick out of it that he thinks that, people like, oh, that I don't like the Fanatic. But he's doing his grumpy thing, and yeah, maybe he doesn't like popcorn down his shirt, So there's a little truth to that.
Especially on those hot days when you're sticking to them, like you said.
But yeah, I don't know who pays for the popcorn, but I do know maybe the people who really don't like the Fanatic are the people who have to clean up the TV booth when 3 tons of popcorn has just been spilled. Because the Fanatic finds the biggest bag that Aramark has, and that's usually what gets done.
Good plug for Aramark. Good job.
There you go.
Good job. Good job. I like that. Anybody work for Aramark? Come on, give it up. Give it up. All right. You got a question behind you. This gentleman, patiently waiting.
What's the best Fanatic story?
Oh, Mr. Met, the Fanatic. Well, here's the truth. What's your name? Chris, here's the truth. 1996, when the Phillies hosted the All-Star game, the last time we hosted the All-Star game, it was the first time that MLB sent all the mascots to the All-Star game. So that was the first year. Wow. So this past year in Atlanta, it represents the 30th year that I've gone to every All-Star game. Thank God. And the Fanatic, it's so great that he's popular because I get to follow him wherever he goes, so, which is really exciting. So the fact is, we all kind of get along, and nothing was more to that point than when the New York Mets hosted years ago at Citi Field. And do you remember those Stand Up to Cancer ads? The Fanatic and Mr. Met joined forces for a great commercial. It was like, I'm pranking him, he's pranking the Fanatic. And it was really great. And then what was really special about it, they showed that commercial. And then during the All-Star game, they came live to the Fanatic and Mr. Met standing next to each other, holding their sign. And then it began that treatment that we've all seen now at the All-Star game. But so yeah, I wish I had good, I pummeled him and he pummeled me stories. But no, the fact is, we all get along, and the All-Star game is always pretty classic. Getting together with all these mascots, it's pretty fun.
Talking about how you guys all get along, the mascots. It was pretty cool this past year when you guys went out to San Francisco for Lucille.
That was it was just recently. Lucille was inducted last year to the Hall of Fame, and the Giants were like, you know what? We're gonna really do this up right. So yeah, the Fanatic was part of the great pre-game ceremony, and the Fanatic likes hanging around with Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah. Oh, and it was also cool because again with the Mets, they were playing the Mets that weekend. And Mr. Met was behind everybody. Like he wasn't with everybody at that time.
The Fanatic got a lot of boos that day. Just in the crowd because the Met fans were booing them because there was a good number of Met fans, and the Giant fans, go back to Philadelphia. But it was a fun night. Yeah.
All right. Raffle time. Everybody get their 2 free ones. If you didn't, go back and see Kelly, see Laura, Sue. Grab your 2 free ones. $1 a piece. We're giving away all that good merchandise, memorabilia, all autographed. There's even a couple of signed pieces of the Philly Fanatic. Where did he learn to, I don't know, where did he learn to write?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, Carl. I don't talk about this too often because it's, if you've ever noticed, a Fanatic, now he's been around, this is, I think, year 47 of the Fanatic. We're getting close to 50 years, right? Mickey, I remember when Mickey announced that his 50th, it's like, wow, the Fanatic's getting close. But if you notice, the Fanatic, when he's at Citibank Park, is never signing autographs. And that's because he never gets asked to sign autographs in Philadelphia. Never. I mean, literally, it goes seasons at a time at games at Citizens Bank Park where the Fanatic doesn't get asked for autographs. And that's because people have never seen him sign an autograph. So, but it's interesting when I go to San Francisco or if I go to a minor league ballpark, their mascots sign autographs. But here's the thing, the costume is just built a way where now at hands, it's very difficult to do. Second of all, if you sign one, and Carl, what happens? You got to sign 40,000 others. There are 43,000 people at Citibank Park.
Yeah.
So that's part of it. It takes the Fanatic out of his what he normally does, which is just like interacting with people, hanging out. He's the guy at the party, right? And not to mention now with cell phone cameras, that has been the biggest change since 37 years ago. We didn't have them. So the Fanatic is usually trying to get some pictures with people. So yeah, the autograph thing is a tough thing. Yeah, it's really tough.
All right, well, we popped around that question. Let's see what else we can come up with here. Johnny,
Well, we can ask, we can do the ask away with Lauren, and then
we can do
and
that.
we
Right?
might be able to find out. We may be able to find out more.
I got the nasty eye. I got the pink eye. A little bit of.
I know.
Lawrence always got great. You guys are like the podcast host. You think you come in with prepared with a question or two. Oh, go ahead, Lauren. It's all good.
Have you been to any concerts?
Oh my. Well, now we're going to be here for a few hours. All right, settle in, everybody. Order some beers. I just got asked about concerts. Yes, he's been to some concerts.
Do you have a favorite?
I laugh because we'll just start with the one that maybe it's my favorite, but maybe not the guy who was on stage's favorite. Have you ever heard of the guy called Bruce Springsteen? Yeah, Bruce. So 1999, Bruce did one concert in September at the Spectrum. The Phillies were playing across the street at the Vet. We knew he was coming. Our PR person said, hey, maybe the Fanatic could come over and maybe deliver some autographed items, blah, blah, blah. They said, no, that's okay. We don't need the Fanatic over here. But the Fanatic didn't, if you've ever noticed, he doesn't have ears. So he didn't hear that part of it. So this game, the Fanatic does his dance on the field in the fifth inning, hops on his four-wheeler, and then goes right up the truck ramp off in right field, and then right across the street to the Spectrum, where he's greeted by the guards there, and within 2 minutes, the Fanatic is in the front row at the Bruce Springsteen concert.
Amazing.
Amazing. And you think, Bruce is really going to be into this. But he wasn't really into it because he was in the middle of a song called Murder Incorporated. Not Glory Days, not Dancing in the Dark, not all the fun songs. This was a really dark song. And so maybe the Fanatic was kind of ruining the vibe. Yeah, it's all timing. So he turned his back and was apparently yelling to all the roadies to get the Fanatic out of there. And the guy, the Fanatic was escorted out of the concert that night. But there have been other great on stage with Billy Joel and Elton John, and one in particular that's close to me. I'm a big Little Feat fan. I love the band Little Feat. And that was a fun night in Glenside at the Keswick, where I'm in the crowd. I excused myself with the friends I was with. I woke up the Fanatic who was sleeping in the van, and within 10 minutes, the Fanatic is running down the aisle and jumps up on stage, and have a good time with little feet. So yeah, that's really been the fun part of the job.
Other than Citizens Bank Park, does the Fanatic have another favorite baseball stadium?
Yeah, it's probably I don't know how many of everybody here has been to other ballparks. And the Fanatic's been to every one. The only one he has not been to is Oakland, which is apparently
Do they have it?
exactly. And apparently everybody tells the Fanatic, you don't have to go. It's kind of a dump, you know. But so he's been to them all, and his vote is Wrigley Field, number one. And then at San Francisco, which is part of the, of course, Fenway's great too. It's almost like they're in a different category, right?
Yeah,
With the oldness, but San Francisco is really pretty cool. You know, when you're in your seat and you're looking out. Pittsburgh is the same way. You're in your seat behind home plate, you're looking out at the city. You're right, the city's right on top of it. And I'm not saying this just because we're here. But in my opinion, Citizens Bank Park is the greatest ballpark in America. I really believe that. I believe it. From a fan's point of view and just the sight lines, it is. There's no other. San Francisco's weird. They wanted that on McCovey Cove, and they crammed it in there, so the sight lines aren't great. Wrigley Field, you could be standing behind sitting behind a pole. Same with Fenway. But we were on the end of that cycle when we built Citizens Bank Park, but we took everything that was good about all the other ballparks, and I just think it's the greatest.
Yeah, thanks to David Montgomery for that as well.
David was
He took all the details.
And Ed Wade too, from a baseball standpoint, the clubhouse, the trainers room, the way you access that. I know fans don't normally see the service level, but that's even very, very well thought out.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, you kind of touched on this before with Harry Kalas going to the Hall of Fame, but has the Fanatic had a favorite event he's attended? And if that's the answer, that's okay, but is there an all-star game or a different induction that maybe has been his favorite?
That's a good question. Then,
Outside of the game, obviously.
yeah, outside the game from an appearance standpoint, you know, the Fanatic. I remember when Ed Rendell first got elected to be mayor of Philadelphia, so the Fanatic was there at the balls, and then it was kind of cool because he got elected to be governor, and so the Fanatic was in Harrisburg with Ed Rendell. So those kind of things would be cool. The Fanatic has George W. Bush and the Fanatic have hung out, you know, on Broad Street when George came into town.
Now you're bragging.
I'm dropping names.
Yeah.
But events, you know, and that's really the Fanatic's life. You know, it's like he makes hundreds of appearances a year, and it's been happening for 47 years. And someday I'm going to sit back and be like, wow, like all the number of people that the Fanatic has touched, you know, not only at the games, not only if you're watching a game, you see the Fanatic on TV, or on the internet, all these impressions. And then the real physical going out on an appearance and going to a parade or going to a hospital or a senior center. I mean, you can't discount just how special those appearances are and the way the Fanatic makes everybody there feel special. So someday when I'm old and gray, I'll reflect. Right now I can't think about that because it's like, that's too overwhelming to me. But when I'm in my rocking chair with Mr. Met and the Marlin, Billy the Marlin, we're all in the mascot nursing home. We'll reflect on this.
All right, so obviously Bryce Harper is a big Fanatic fan, but has there been another Phillies player that has sort of embraced the Fanatic?
So that's a great question. You just gave me a segue to promote my podcast. Am I allowed to promote my podcast on your podcast?
Go for it. You can do whatever you want.
Breaking news.
John Brazier and I have had a podcast called Phillies Backstage, and we started in 2018. So we've been doing this for 7 years, and it's every twice a month. and it's an interview, and we have interviewed. It's really been, I got to tell you, as special as it has been to have the career I've had doing what I'm doing, that everybody knows me for. This podcast really, I mean, to be able to interview all my heroes when I was a kid, and guys that I've gotten to know, and love, but now, and you guys know, Carl and John, to be able to have an hour interview where you can ask questions and, when you go out with somebody, you're not going to, I've known Larry Bowen for 35 years, but I'm not going to ask him about certain things, but when he was a guest on our podcast, I'm like, what happened with that play in 1977? I thought the guy was out.
And he was.
He was out. So, so that part of it's been just awesome to be able to interview these guys and get to know them. It's just been the best.
Is there a player that has despised the Fanatic?
No, but I remember an umpire in Harrisburg during the Senators game where he really despised the Fanatic. Do you guys remember the year that Hero, the song by Mariah Carey, came out? Hero. Great song, right? You don't hear that song anymore. But that year, the Fanatic, he had his girlfriend Phyllis, had a dress, and so when the Fanatic would make an appearance at a minor league ballpark, Phyllis would show up and dance around an umpire to the Hero, the song. Well, this one particular umpire did appreciate it, and he ejected the Fanatic in the fifth inning. The Fanatic was not allowed to return after, it might have been the goose to the game. The Fanatic gave a little goose.
I don't do it.
But, so that's the one guy. Now, I'll tell you, that year, Michael Jordan was playing in Birmingham, Alabama. He was playing, he had left basketball and he decided to play baseball. Everybody remembers. The Fanatic always made an appearance in Birmingham, Alabama. And that year, Hero, the Fanatic puts his dress on. And without telling anybody in the front office, the Barons, that the Fanatic knew he was going to make a beeline on his four-wheeler to right field. The Fanatic went out to right field. Jordan's standing there. The Fanatic, the music comes on, and it's pretty funny. Michael Jordan's body language, like his shoulders slumped, like I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Here we go.
And to Michael Jordan's credit, he stood there, he laughed, the Fanatic danced around him. You're my hero. He gave me the old goose, and he was very, very cool. So.
When the Fanatic says he's going down the shore, what's his favorite shore town?
That would be Ocean City. Do we have any other Ocean City fans here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everyone likes Ocean City. Well, the fact is, the Fanatic has a history in all those towns. He's made appearances everywhere. Turns out I have a history there too. I met my wife in Seattle, and so but our family would go to Longport and then Ocean City, and the Fanatic. You see how fat he is, right? So I think Ocean City is where, when he goes up onto that boardwalk, he loads up on all the different kinds of foods.
Who is the Fanatic's favorite baseball player?
Wow. Anybody wearing a Phillies jersey. That's it. Now, who's my favorite? Would you like to ask?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have two different answers, I guess. As a kid, I was a little bit of a class clown, and I always appreciated like the guys with a little flair, a little guy. So Jay Johnstone, do you remember Jay Johnstone? He was my favorite player. My first favorite player was Willie Montanez.
There you go.
Number 27, first baseman.
Philly.
Willie Philly. We traded him for Gary Maddox, but he would come to the plate, flipping that bat, and I was blown away. And then I would say, but overall, in general, it would be Chase Utley. He's my favorite player. I just loved how he played. It was just that swing. I don't know if we'll ever see a swing like that. So unique, so short, and so powerful. And he just played the game with reckless abandon.
Does the fanatic enjoy going to other mascot events, or does he entirely know that he's better than all of them?
Loves going out to those games. Yeah, loves it. You know, we're all big fraternity. Not fraternity.
There you go. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Fraternity. And it is really cool. I will say, I told you, all these all-star games, they always introduce all the mascots on the dugout. Usually during the home run derby, but the last 2 years they've done it during the all-star game, just before the all-star game. And the fanatic always gets the biggest round of applause. Not in New York. That was the biggest boo that he's ever gotten. So he really gets, I don't know what that is. It's really kind of neat where all the other mascots get booed and the fanatic gets a big cheer. So it's he loves it.
Did the Fanatic have the same reactions change slightly in New York? Getting booed out of the All-Star game?
No, he did not. No,
He was thinking it though.
I
He was
know where
thinking
you're going with that. He was thinking it.
What's one thing on the fanatic's bucket list?
These are the best questions ever. Well, listen.
Has the fanatic ever been skydiving?
The Fanatic did a parasail in Wildwood. Yeah, no, it was about 20, I can tell you, it was about 26 years ago. I remember it well. We were out on a boat. Fanatic went up 500 feet in the air on a parasail. And I remember telling the people running the boat, now, if you know how they drop you so you can maybe touch your feet and then they raise you back up. I'm like, you can't do that. If the Fanatic goes down, and that fur gets wet, he's going to weigh about 800 pounds, and he will drop to the bottom of the Atlantic. So I was petrified watching the Fanatic the whole time. They literally reeled him in, and he survived. I'm happy to say.
Does he have a bucket list?
The bucket list he's already had it.
Okay.
Has 2 parades down Broad Street. And so he certainly wants a 3rd parade down Broad Street. And he totally thinks it's gonna happen this year. And you mentioned his favorite favorite player. I think Duran right now is the Fanatic's favorite player. He thinks he's going to be the piece that takes us all the way.
Oh yeah. How electric is that down there?
Crazy, just crazy. The Fanatic, he's got a big ego, so he always thinks the 43,000 people are there to see him.
Right.
And then he kind of thinks this Duran guy is stealing his thunder.
Yeah, that's.
And I've had talks with him. I've tried to,
Talk him off the list.
yeah, walk off.
All right, and the last question. How many hot dogs can the fanatic eat in one sitting?
How many?
Hot dog.
How many hot dogs can he eat in one
How many
sitting?
fingers and toes do you have? How many?
Oh, 20.
All right, so times that by about what, 6 or 7?
Wow, in one sitting.
I would think so, yeah.
Okay.
60 or 70 is probably a good number. What's that guy's name? The big guy who eats all the hot dogs. Joey Chestnut. He would dust me.
And how about you? How many hot dogs do you think you're eating in one sitting?
I'm a 2 hot dog guy. And a big bag of peanuts.
There you go.
All right.
You put ketchup on your hot dogs?
All right, Carl, I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that. That's like, do I put mayonnaise on my hoagie? No. I mean, we're in Philadelphia here. Carl, come on.
All right, let's give it up for Lauren.
Way to go, Lauren.
Come on, seriously. She prepared heavily for this night to go one-on-one with Tom Burgoyne. Did an excellent job. Questions, comments, because we've literally run out of time. We've used up our hour. Anybody, anything? I don't want you to go home and you're laying in bed and you're like, damn it, I've got a question.
Oh, here we go. We got enough. Come on. We can be here all night. I love this so much.
How tired does the Fanatic get after the game?
That's a great question. Because the Fanatic is clearly not in shape. And he runs up and down those steps, and he's all over the place. So I don't understand. You know what? I think that's the mystery of life. I mean, he doesn't seem to slow down. He always seems to be, energetic and ready to go. I know for me, I take breaks kind of throughout the game. So I have to take a little bit of a breather, drink a lot of water, maybe get a fan blowing on me. But the Fanatic is like the energizing bunny. You just keep on going. So that's a great question.
All right, we got one more.
Maybe two more. Two more.
Take George first.
Being the Fanatic's best friend, see an exercise program prior to the season start.
You know what? Let's see, how many years has it been since the Fanatic has been going to spring training every year? And it's been about, I want to say about 13 years now. And it was a great suggestion by David Montgomery, who said, just out of the blue, you know what? The Fanatic should be in spring training because the team's in spring training. And at the time, I was like, okay, I'll spend 5 weeks in Florida in the middle of winter. I'm like, sold. And it turns out my son, my oldest son, had just started at University of South Florida in Tampa. That year. I'm like, I'll do it. So it wound up being great. And I think that is kind of the Fanatics workout. We usually play about 16 or 17 games down there. It's a little bit of a shock to my system to be running after the Fanatic. It's where I sweat out all the beers that I've drank at Buffalo Wild Wings in the off season. So
Nice plug.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so it's but that's kind of his workout. That's how he gets ready for the season.
All right, last question.
Everybody's enjoying these stories that you're sharing. Is there a memoir to be written in the future at some point of the story?
I can't believe you just asked that. That's really awesome. So I wrote a book called More Than Beards, Bellies, and Biceps about the 1993 Phillies team. We wrote that in 2003. It was a 10-year anniversary. My neighbor is a writer, and he had written a book about the 1960 Eagles. And he asked me, hey, let's do a book about the 93 team. That was just an unbelievable experience. And talking to all the players and just all the excitement around that book was cool. Came out with another book a couple of years later about the move into Citizens Bank Park called Moving On Up. That one you don't see too often because I was convinced Jim Thome I had just witnessed the greatest season that last year the vet. Thome to me was just God. I mean, what a year that was.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we put Thome on the cover of that book, and Ryan Howard, had something to say about that. But anyway, at that point, that's when I started writing kids' books. So I've written 21 kids' books about the Fanatic. And then it's been almost 10 years, Field of Love, which is a book about just the things I've learned from the Fanatic and how love, can not only help us, but also in the business world too. It's customer service and how you treat people. And that was kind of a special book. But I have really been thinking and obsessed with the idea of maybe doing a memoir. And I've been doing a lot of research on it and writing it down. I've been writing things for the last couple of years. And I never thought, I've kind of already told a lot of stories. If I told those books, I've told a lot of stories, but I think there is still more a deeper meaning, what I've learned from the Fanatic. I don't know if you can get much deeper than love, but there are some other things that I have some really strong feelings about, and that could make for maybe another book. So I'm hoping within the next year or two, I would love to.
I'll answer that question. Yes. Yes.
I'm working on it. But thanks for that question.
All right, anyone else? Last call? All right, here's the deal. As we close out the show, Tom has graciously accepted the challenge to sign some autographs. So we're going to try to keep this maybe to a 1 or 2 per person. We're going to line up over here. We're going to go this way. So there's no mad rush. there's no mad rush. You guys heard that, right? There's no mad rush. Everyone will get their autograph. Let's be Delco-like and keep it to 1 or 2. All right? So I just want to, again, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I have one last announcement. It's a minor one, maybe September 24th, our next show here. How about Coach Dick Vermeil?
Oh, baby! One of my heroes.
Coach Dick Vermeil will be in the house. I'll leave it at that. This guy has meant the world to me over the years. We've done a lot of work together. He does an unbelievable job for the Phillies, for the Fanatic, for this game's view.
Yes.
And I just, how about a round of applause for Tom Dawson?
Thank you, man.